I was really good at the stroke butterfly, which a lot of people can't do, and I had never practiced it before, and I ended up winning the school carnival, went on to the next one and went from level to level and ended up representing state, which was pretty cool. I was offered to do some training and stuff, but I hated swimming so much. I really did not enjoy it one bit.
You didn't like it at all?
No.
What about the football though?
The football I loved, and I did for many years. So I started playing football when I was 12, and at the time I was playing for Maruya, and they didn't have a girls' team, so I was slotted into the boys' team, and I was the only girl on the team, and I think I was one of 2 girls in the entire comp.
Go, go, go! And you're doing it, he's in! That's a massive crash, and it's happened immediately! This is amazing! Big shot, and it's lights out, and away we go!
Maisie Place, welcome to On the Couch with Hawley. So how'd you get here today?
So left work early yesterday in Canberra and dragged my best friend up here. So we drove up last night, stayed the night, and we're going to have a nice day in Sydney. We're going to have a weekend in Sydney, but my sister's moving away, so we've got to go back to Canberra tonight for her going away party.
And she's moving to Victoria, right?
Yeah, so she's moving to Melbourne next weekend.
Yeah. And what was the reason for her going to Melbourne?
It's cheaper and a fresh start, different sort of car community, so...
Yeah, and your family's huge into the car community, aren't they?
Yes.
How'd you get your start with the car community?
Well, we were always around racetracks when we were younger. Dad was always a race fan. His parents were race fans. So we were always around cars, and then sort of getting into mechanics and stuff when I started as an apprentice.
Yeah.
It was just as my name grew, more people in the car community knew who I was, and I could go out and everyone knew my car, everyone knew me.
Yeah. So you got to go back to the apprentice thing. When did you start becoming an apprentice, and when did that whole was it in school?
So I started as a school-based apprentice. So when I was 16, I did work experience through school at Reliance Automotive in Canberra. So I was living in Maruya at the time.
Yep.
And so I did work experience up there when I was 16 years old, and I have been there ever since. So started as a school-based apprentice, and that's a 5-year-long apprenticeship, which is just insane. I ended up getting it done in 3 years, and I'm still working at the same shop.
Wow, that's impressive. 5 years and you did it in 3.
Yeah.
Did you work overtime to get the apprenticeship done, or did you just do it because you were passionate and that's how it kind of went straight through?
How the apprenticeship system works in Canberra, which I really like this system, what they do is it's independent learning. So you each get given your bookwork, and instead of learning as a whole class doing the same thing, you're doing your work at your own pace.
Yeah.
And so it means if someone is struggling a little bit more, they'll take longer to do their apprenticeship, whereas someone who is already knowledgeable and confident in what they're doing, they'll get the apprenticeship done a lot quicker.
Yeah. And how with your parents, were they into cars, or was it just yourself?
Yeah, so Dad has always been a Falcon and a Rotary man.
Yep.
Mum has recently gotten into cars. She was always sort of into them a little bit, but not majorly like she is now. So she's got a XP wagon, 65 model, which she was born in 1965, so that one's special to her. And she's got an Audi S3 that she sometimes takes to the racetrack.
Yeah.
And she also has an RX8, which is nicer than any of my ones.
You were taking photos of the Falcon downstairs. Was that for your dad or for your mum?
For both.
For both. Is for them as car lovers, would they want something like that in their garage?
Definitely. We actually have a few Falcons at home. The favourite one is we've got an XA GT, which is Dad's little project.
Yeah.
He'll get it done one day, as we all say.
And with the Falcons, obviously, you're a huge Mazda fan. Is there a lot of Mazdas in the back of the backyard too? So
my house in Canberra, I've got 3 there. I've also got one stored out the back of my work at the moment. And then we've got 20 RX8s around about at Mum and Dad's house.
Yeah.
And then a couple RX7s as well, which only one of them's running at the moment.
And where did you learn to drive though? Did you used to drive paddock bashes at the back of your house or anything like that?
It was actually my great-grandmother's property. So she had this really big property out at South Heads in Maruya.
Yeah.
And my dad used to do scrap metal for work. So he would get paid to take away just shitbox cars, really. And my sister, my brother and I would all sort of spend our time getting them fixed up so we could drive them around the paddock. And so I was 6 years old when I learnt to drive manual.
Awesome. And what was your first racing experience though? Was it motorcanas or anything like that? Or
Yeah, so I started doing motorcanas probably when I was 14, and that was in Nowra with the Shellhaven and Kiama District Auto Club. And that was originally in the RX7, but that sort of became worth a bit too much, so we got a $200 Suzuki Swift.
And you're huge into rally cars as well, aren't you? Who had the rally car thing happen? How did that happen?
So my dad did a bit of just club rallying when he was younger, and my boss actually built his rally cars for him. So that all sort of loops back around.
Yeah.
When I started working as a mechanic, one of our customers needed a navigator, and her name was Linda.
Yeah.
And she drove a bright orange Datsun Stanza called Kumquat.
Yeah.
And I was 16. Yeah, it was hilarious. She names all of her cars. And I
After naughty names.
Yeah. But I was 16 when I first jumped in with her, so that was my first time navigating.
Yeah, right. How big's your family though? Like, do you have a big family gathering at Christmas or anything like that, or is it just you standard like brother and sister and aunties and uncles?
We used to have really big family gatherings, but now we actually hold Christmas every year at our house, so we try and keep it smaller, but it's always a few aunties from Dad's side and a few aunties and uncles from Mum's side, and my nanny and Poppy passed away a few years ago, so sadly we don't get to see them at Christmas.
Yeah.
But we still have Mum's parents, which is Nana and Grandpa.
Yeah.
Grandpa used to be a aircraft mechanic and pilot in the Air Force.
So that's where it would have come through with.
Yeah, I love hearing his stories. It's pretty cool.
You were saying in other parts of the conversation where I think your family was a part of the Harbour Bridge. They helped build the Harbour Bridge. Yeah,
so my great-great-grandfather moved over from Scotland when the Sydney Harbour Bridge was being built. They were starting a granite quarry in Maruya, which is where I'm from. And so my family moved over from Scotland to manage the quarry for the Sydney Harbour Bridge. And my family's been in Maruya ever since. Yeah. So we've got a lot of history there.
And your little nephew likes to drive cars too, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's scary how good he's becoming. So he is 3 years old, and before he even turned 1, he had figured out how to start the race cars, how to fiddle with the kill switches and stuff. We always thought the race cars would be safe until we heard one start up on its own. So him sitting up in there all proud of himself. But he picks up on stuff very quickly. So he sees us start a car, he'll pick up on that. He'll be able to, he'll jump up, grab the key, put the key in the ignition, start it for you. He's just figured out gear changing. Yeah. So he'll usually go from first to fourth though, so.
Slow. He's all right. He's got plenty of years left in him.
Yeah.
Next Max Verstappen.
Yeah. I think he's going to be a very good driver when he's older and very good mechanic. He already has figured out how to use the tools.
Yeah. And with your family, obviously, you said your uncle was huge into Speedway and HQ Holden racing. Can you explain a bit of your family background with that?
Yeah, so my dad's cousin Russell Becker, he raced the Revolution race gear Holden HQ way back in the day. And now I believe it's his kids that are doing Speedway, so that would be my second cousins, I would think.
Yeah.
I don't think I've actually met them, but like I, of course, follow their racing.
Yeah.
Because I know their family. So yeah, it's pretty cool to have that in the family of circuit racing.
Did you ever go to Parramatta Speedway though?
I've never been. No, I used to just go to Maruya Speedway when I was a kid because that was just down the road from my place, and a lot of Dad's friends used to race in the speedway there. That's where I fell in love with rotaries.
So you never had an itch to go at all faster around a speedway at all, even though watching?
I've had the itch.
Did you do any, there was the junior sedans, you weren't tempted to do that or anything like that, or not really?
It was never really a thought. It is now. Don't worry, it is now. And I've had a lot of people sort of say to me, jump in my speedway car for this, but I don't really like driving other people's cars.
Yeah.
Makes me nervous.
And you had obviously an outside sports career where you did a bit of swimming and football. Can you touch on your swimming and your football?
Yeah, so I was that brat of a kid that was just good at every sport I tried, and anything I did perfectly. Yeah. Which is kind of why I like racing, because it's more of a challenge and I'm not as good at it. But yeah, so the swimming stuff, I was really good at the stroke butterfly, which a lot of people can't do, and I had never practiced it before, and I ended up winning the school carnival, went on to the next one and went from level to level and ended up representing state, which was pretty cool. I was offered to do some training and stuff, but I hated swimming so much. I really did not enjoy it one bit.
You didn't like it at all?
No.
What about the football though?
The football I loved, and I did for many years. So I started playing football when I was 12, and at the time I was playing for Maruya, and they didn't have a girls' team, so I was slotted into the boys' team. I was the only girl on the team, and I think I was one of 2 girls in the entire comp.
Want to hear more? Each week we will share the hottest clips from our guest interviews on YouTube. But to hear the full episode, make sure to subscribe or follow us on your favourite podcast platform.